Howdy everybody, Kyle Fergusson here. I wanted to give you a super duper short version of the patch notes that came out on July 20th. There's not going to be any gameplay in this video. This marks 1 month since the last patch and 1 month since the patch before that, so we are now on a once a month cadence. The new balance designer Kofold seems to have set that schedule regardless of esports, since CCL has its grand finals this weekend. Got to interview Kofold over on my podcast, Into the Nexus podcast. Check it out. Let's dive right in. First, you're going to notice a Morales rework. So Morales is an early game hero who hopes to win before the late game hits and kind of loses her power. So she's had her health reduced and her safeguard armor has been reduced. She is now gaining a number of talents that have to do with just hitting grenades, regardless of what you do with them. Morales are going to fire a lot of grenades and displace people. Be careful if you pick Li Ming and other sorts of aiming characters around her. She's just going to displace people all the time. They also baked in her reinforce ability at level 10. This was a level 20 town, allowed you to put a medevac back in the core and then fly it out to the team fight. Pretty cool. That is now at 10. There's also a really cool level 20 here called Hospice Care. Safeguard grants unkillable for 1 second. If the target is under 50% max health when the effect ends, they are healed for 8% of their max health. So there's some of that late game power you might be looking for if things go that long on Morales. Right now, she's up 8% on stat sites like HotSlogs, so clearly it's doing all right, but still not a lot of games played. We'll see what happens. Now we get into the general balance stuff. Blaze, nerf. He was doing too well in that off-laney kind of show up and team fight role and go back to off-lane stuff. Still not really a main tank, and these are just nerfs. Things like collision course needed it. That was a lot of damage. These Murden changes are a little strange. They're basically for tournament players who have said it doesn't feel good or as good as it should to take these talents. So Perfect Storm, Sledgehammer, slight bonuses to those talents. Nothing really to worry about. Artemis got a pretty big change. It's kind of surprising it's not a rework because it has a couple of cool features in it, such as Phase Prism. Now first you'll read cast time increase. No, it's fine actually, because it no longer requires you to stop, stand there, and channel while the Phase Prism missile fires. So you can keep moving around, you can do your twin blades and all that sort of thing while that's flying through the air and casting out of your body. And at the same time, Artemis gets unstoppable for 1.5 seconds after he swaps with that enemy hero. Have you ever swapped into Malfurion roots? I know I have. It's awful. Now that's not a problem. He lost follow through. He got a fancier version of it that's particular to him. But the main stuff is going to be this unstoppable. And if you take a full Phase Prism build, you can spam this at pretty good speed and be unstoppable a lot of the time, in addition to all your other old survivability talents, which are going to be doing just fine. So tank Artemis could be a thing, probably not. A more frustrating and cool to play Artemis, absolutely. Dahaka. He got a basic attack increase, which basically means that every 5.5 auto attack, he'll get an extra attack. So you're not too concerned about this. This isn't going to cause all of his auto attack talents to run away with the win rate. However, Burrow does have 50% movement speed while burrowing. This is so tiny. You're going to maybe break a body block underneath stitches. But it is something. There is perhaps a mercenary taking build now for Dahaka. However, this talent is currently bugged and deals its bonus damage to monsters as well, which is really good on things like Infernal Shrine. So at least for the weekend, Dahaka might be a popular pick on that map. A number of other changes in here. Mostly you'll notice that Dahaka's doing fine and he has this Gambit talent, which is kind of neat, and he deals damage over time to the target after he completes his drag. Neat. I'm just really excited about this burrow, and I hope that Lurker Strain can become a thing, because the other talents are, well, Essence, it's great, it's exciting. Lurker Strain is really fun, and now that we're burrowing on our own speed, that'd be pretty cool. This movement speed at 16 is a lot of fun too. Karazim. Level 20 Fists of Legends gain 50% of the benefit from both level 1 talents that were not chosen. So this means you get a completed quest version, but half of the bonus of Insight, as well as Iron Fist or Transcendence. If you didn't do one of the other ones, you're required to pick one, of course. Neat talent. We'll see if it gets any picks. Lucio, nerf. High 5 was too good, healing was too big, and they're also getting rid of the high 5 unstoppable for Lucio, which will luckily reduce some of the frustration in dealing with that guy. Stukov, Fetid Touch. Additional functionality, ranged attacks and melee attacks are now toggleable. Now, so what they... Toggleable? They took the Spine Launcher and mixed it with the Fetid Touch in a previous patch, and it made it so you would do long-range attacks. Well, now you can press the 1 button and choose if you want to be long-range attacks, or do your melee big attack with no damage reduction on it. People have figured out you can kind of reload bug this a little bit. Not sure if it's a bug, it may just be a feature. It's kind of hard to do, but you know, like in a shooter, if you switch weapons while reloading, sometimes it comes back faster than the actual reload animation. You can do a melee attack or a range attack and quickly shift forms and refresh your auto attack cooldown, dealing more damage. Kind of neat. Would be kind of busy. He's a busy hero already. We'll see if that stays in the game. Tyrande. Additional functionality on Sentinel. If an enemy hero dies while revealed by Sentinel, reset its cooldown. And Hunter's Mark additional functionality. Tyrande's basic attacks heal for 1% of her max health, doubled against marked targets. So a little bit of owl build snipage coming back here to encourage you to get that last hit if you really can. And Hunter's Mark healing you, meaning that hopefully Tyrandes won't be so selfish, perhaps, when they're spam healing themselves in those sort of quick match scenarios. I rarely have that problem with Tyrandes who are picking Tyrande purposely in a draft, but Tyrandes like to pretend to be assassins when they're in quick match. Some other toys for the Tyrande here. The interesting thing about this one is we're noticing a trend that Blizzard likes to incentivize certain heroes to be played by just adding more functionality on top of their kit already. And that might be a hindrance as the paragraphs get really long into the future. Azmodan, sniping keeps, nerf. That's all it is. Demonic Invasion going down. Cassia, nerf. It needed to happen, and thankfully I got to Masters before that happened for my own personal sake. Thunderstroke down isn't going to really matter too much. The Blinding Light bonus damage reduction, though, will probably be the part you feel when you start really stacking those blinds alongside Cassia. Falstad, they're trying to encourage some other talent picks outside of the auto attack build, which is so popular right now with Frequent Flyer and Secret Weapon. Gathering Storms, though, having any sort of buff is still kind of complicated because Gathering Storms is often used for lane clear, and he needs to hit heroes to get lane clear. It's not working quite yet. Janna. Janna has 2 very big bugs, so you're going to see a lot of Janna this weekend. Luckily, these bugs have been fixed usually by Friday, so shouldn't be around too long. Iceland's cooldown reduction reduced. Cooldown increase, excuse me. But the Frost Shards are what you're really interested in here. The Frost Bolt Pierce hits 2 additional targets instead of just 1. So 2 targets, now 3 targets. However, the bug here is particularly interesting. If you pierce and you hit all 3 targets, no harm done. Nothing happens. But if you pierce and hit 2 targets, it still thinks you need to hit a 3rd target, and the next cast will only hit 1 target until you reset back to hitting 3 targets on the other side of that. Bizarre. Ice Flows is your Cone of Cold talent. This gives you the cooldown reduction when you hit heroes. Well, this is now working on everything. So melee Janna is going to be everywhere, and she's spamming, taking camps in about 12 seconds, going faster than she should, lane clearing faster than she should, and dealing a lot of damage because she's just able to constantly have Cone of Cold for lane clear, objective clear, and of course hitting heroes as it's intended. Still no bacon of the ice block that I'm looking for. Zagara. Kind of a rework. Working her towards that Assassin Sylvanas kind of area. I'm excited about that. Basic attack range no longer reliant on being on creep, so it's just straight up increased. Creep tumors increase the movement speed of Zagara summons more, so that Hydralisks are more sticky if you've been prepping the lane. But the big deal is the Baneling Barrage. Charges reduced from 4 to 2, but now you shoot 2 Banelings at a time. Very much back to back. You don't really feel locked in this animation for too long, though a cast time was increased. With later Baneling Barrage talents, where you get more and more charges, This can be about 1,200 damage around level 12 or so, which is pretty decent in a duel. If you're doing a solo lane Zagara, you might actually win if that Hogger doesn't line up right and goes completely melee on you. There's also some fun talents like Brute Mother at level 20 here that cause a free Baneling to launch on every third basic attacks. That works on non-heroes, so it's great for lane clear. And then Pack Instincts, Zagara and her summons deal 25% more damage to enemies attacked by Hunter's Killer. This is your Hydralisk. Puts a little mark on them, 3 seconds. You can combine this with the Envenom auto attack to empower that damage to be 25% more. Still not full-blown assassin levels, but kind of cool for a full giant killer build and getting rid of that Johanna or Murden that might be in your face. And then there's some light bug fixes. That's basically the patch. Bugs are always fixed, well, I shouldn't say always, but they have been fixed wicked fast by the Friday. So enjoy the game. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this speedy version of the patch notes.